Today we're going to make chocolate peppermint kisses. To begin, we're going to start with our mixing bowl on the machine. We're going to add our paddle attachment for the creaming method. We're going to go ahead and add our butter along with our sugar. And we're going to get the mixer going by locking it into place and starting it on low speed. Our butter and our sugar are going to cream together. First it's going to break up into large chunks, then into a paste, and then finally it will start to get nice and fluffy. Our next step is going to be scraping down the sides of our bowls to incorporate all of our ingredients. We want to do this in between each step. Next, we're going to begin to mix it again to get it a little more light and fluffy. After, we'll add our egg with our milk and our vanilla. We want to do this on a slow speed so as not to make a mess. Again, scraping in between and making sure that we mix until it emulsifies. So here you can see that it is still working to emulsify. The fat and the liquid are separated. As it continues to mix, it'll emulsify and get nice and light and fluffy again. It's very important to have room temperature ingredients. Now we'll come off the mixer, scraping again down the side. Scraping allows us to get all of our ingredients incorporated together and mixed evenly. Now we're going to go ahead and we are going to put our bowl back on the mixer with our flour. And we want to mix our baking powder, baking soda, salt, and cocoa powder. So this way it distributes evenly in the mixture. Back onto the mixer. Paddle attachment back on, lock it into place. Be very careful to mind that you have multiple speeds. So we want to put on the lowest speed here so as not to make a mess. Mix until just combined. Now this step here, I'm taking it out and putting it into a glass bowl so that we can work together and see the next steps, but you do not have to do this. You can work in your mixing bowl is fine. We also sometimes need to just use our hands to be able to get everything off of the paddled attachment. And when you do so, make sure to clean your hands in between. Now using our bowl scraper, we're going to move this over into a glass bowl so that you can see what is going on and how the mix looks. We want to take one last opportunity to mix in any final patches of flour or ingredients that needed to be mixed in. Now we're going to use our portion scoop and we're going to scoop our cookies onto our sheet pan, leaving space in between so that the air can circulate and they can bake evenly and have room to spread. You can also dip the ice cream scoop in a little bit of water and that will help you scoop a little easier. Now using wet hands, you're going to roll each cookie dough into a round and then we're going to coat it in sugar. This gives it a nice little crunchy texture on the outside. Back onto the pan, evenly separated. And to make these cookies more delicious, we are going to add some Hershey's white chocolate peppermint candies. So we'll just kind of put them there on top, place them gently in the center, and we'll set this aside in the fridge for 5 minutes to cool before we bake. Now let's move on to our next cookie, our peanut butter blossoms. Same process again, creaming method, butter, brown sugar, white sugar. Put it on the machine with the paddle attachment. Get our egg, milk, and our vanilla ready, as well as our flour, baking soda, and salt. Mix thoroughly so that it incorporates properly in the mix. Our other ingredient, of course, is going to be our peanut butter. First, I like to break up the butter and sugar by themselves, then I'll add the peanut butter to continue to creaming our fat and our sugar together. At this point, once you add the peanut butter, it'll get pretty smooth pretty quickly. Paddle attachment back onto the mixer, and then we're going to go ahead and mix that until it's smooth and creamy. We'll scrape down our bowl again, very important to incorporate all of your ingredients. And then our next step is to go ahead and add our egg with milk and vanilla. Emulsify until cream and smooth again. Now we're going to add in our dry mix, and we're going to just mix until incorporated. Scrape down your paddle attachment, getting all of your ingredients off, and now you can get ready to scoop. Again, we're moving this into a separate bowl just for demonstration purposes. You do not need to do this. Same thing again, we're going to have our sheet pan with parchment paper, our cookie scoop, making sure we portion out, leaving space on the pan. Again, we're going to roll it round, and we're going to roll this in sugar as well for that nice crunchy exterior. Okay, when I'm done, I want to keep this sugar separate just because it did come in contact with peanut butter. Now we're going to add our Hershey Kisses, again to the center, and then we'll get our cookies ready to bake in the oven. We'll set them in the fridge so that they set up prior to baking. Our cookies now have baked at a 350-degree oven for 12 to 14 minutes, rotating halfway. We're going to set them here to cool just for a few minutes prior to taking off the sheet pan. Now we can take them off the sheet pan so that they can cool on the counter. If we move them too soon, they do have a chance to break, so we want to let them set up before we start plating. Now we're going to take our cookies, plate them up. You can do one large platter, or you can do small trays like I'm doing here. And then that's just a nice presentation of our chocolate peppermint and our peanut butter blossoms. Now I want to touch upon our making cookies in advance of a holiday or a celebration. So the other day I had made my chewy chocolate oatmeal cookies. I had put them in the freezer so they would get nice and firm. So now I'm just going to unwrap them, and I'm going to place them into a labeled Ziploc bag. By placing them into the bag frozen, they'll keep their shape. And by keeping them in the freezer, it'll keep the cookie nice and fresh so that when we are ready to bake, we can bake it fresh on the day that we're ready to serve them. So this is a great way to make your cookie production in advance, or to always have some cookies on hand in case guests come over. It's always a great way to be prepared for any celebration that may come your way.